Welcome to the fourth session of Introduction to IoT and Robotics. In this session, we'll be going through a few of circuits in Tinkercad and understand their connections. We'll be using different sensors in each circuit. So, for today's event, we have three circuits which we'll be going through and examining all the connections and its working. All right. So, here are the three circuits. As I said, the first one is obstacle distance calculator. We'll be using infrared and we'll be using a sensor for calculating the distance of the obstacle from the circuit. And the second one is temperature sensor circuit. We'll be using a sensor named as TMC36 for calculating the temperature of the environment and accordingly showing the output as any LED lights. And the third circuit is the water level calculation circuit. We won't be directly using any water level calculator sensor because unfortunately it's not available in Tinkercad. So we'll be demonstrating it with the help of a potentiometer and an LED. All right. So before we go on to the Tinkercad site, here is a brief image of our circuits. This here is the sensor which detects the distance between of the obstacle from the sensor, and this is the second temperature sensor circuit. This here, as you can see, is the temperature circuit, the TMC36 sensor. And the third circuit which we'll be going through is the water level calculator. This is the potentiometer. We will be altering the values, and accordingly it will print the LED of the water detection. All right, so let's go on to the first one. All right, so let's begin. So this here, as you can see, is the main Arduino Uno board and whatever we are using, and this here is the ultrasonic distance sensor which will be used for calculating the distance and sending it back to the board. And whenever we detect an obstacle less than a given range, that will be in the code which I'll be showing later, the LED light will blink. Okay, so let's go through the code first. Wait. We'll go through the connections. Okay, so as you can see, for any sensor or anything that is connected to the board, we need to ground it, and if it's working all the time in the board, we need a constant power supply. So the first connection here is to the power node. We have 3 points here. The first one is ground, and this is the power point, and this is the signal point. So for the power point, we'll be using the 5-volt point which is present in the Arduino board. It gives a constant supply of 5 volts. And the second one is the ground. We'll be grounding to the board with the help of this point to connecting to the ground connection here. And the third connection that is needed for this sensor is signal. So what's exactly signal does is that, as you know, in Arduino, there is a set of instructions that gets executed in several loops. So in each loop, there is a set of instructions that gets repeated. So in this circuit, we'll be giving an output of a particular frequency as output towards the sensor. So it will give out some signals, and then with the same wire, we'll take the input, and that input is the reflected signal frequencies that we get back, and based on the difference in time, we calculate the distance of the obstacle. So this wire acts as an input and output at different times. Okay, so now the second connection is for the bulb. So as you know, pin 13 is default used for LEDs. So here we'll be using the same one, point 13, for connecting to the breadboard. So here, for those who don't know the connection of breadboard, here everything here in these dots are series. So as you can see, except these end two lines and these two, everything is in series. As I hover my mouse, you can see the connections. It's showing in green. These all are in series. And in this line, it's the opposite. It's horizontal. So all the points are connected in series like this. Okay, so how we use breadboard in this? We connect the 13 pin point to this point. So virtually this point is connected to all these points, right? Because these are in series. So after that, we'll connect the anode of the bulb here and cathode here. So this point is not connected, is not in series with these points. So in the same line, we have connected the resistance. So why exactly we are using resistance? Because the power we'll be getting through the Arduino board is not appropriate for the LED. We need to alter it to bring it to the LED's range. So for that, we'll be using a resistor. So now we have connected the same line, the cathode of the bulb and the resistance. So this is a circuit, and the wire goes from here, connects to the bulb, and to the bulb comes here and to the resistance. Now resistance, one point is here and the second point is connected to this line. So these all are in series. So, and this point is virtually connected to this point, and as you can see, this wire goes on to the ground pin. So here we are not using the 5-volt pin. That's because LED gets blink from the 13-point output. So this is default output, so it will be blinking. We have condition for that, and accordingly it will blink. So if we give only high at a particular point, then only the current will go through these pins. Okay, so now let's go into the code. All right, so the first two things, as you can see, is two variable declarations which are constant. Actually, what we are doing is we are declaring the pin numbers. Here you can see the 13 number pin is for LED and the number 7 is for giving input and output to the sensor, right? So we have declared it constant. As you know, you guys may know that constant keyword is used for giving a value to the particular variable throughout the program. So even if we try to change it, it won't change. So it's to keep it safe from getting accidentally altered. Okay, so now we have the void setup function. Here we declare all the input, output, and in this, as you can see, we have the pin mode, LED pin, output. So what is LED pin? LED pin refers to pin number 13. So we are declaring pin number 13 as output. Okay, so it will be completely output mode only. And then we go on to the void loop function. So here we are declaring duration, the time duration which we'll be getting. We'll be taking input from the sensor, and the centimeter after we'll use another function for converting it into centimeters. Okay. So we have declared it here. We have declared the pin number 7 as output, and all right. So here, as you can see, this loop gets executed continuously. It repeats itself throughout as till we disconnect the power from Arduino. So here, what it does, it gives a low signal and waits for 2 microseconds, and then it gives a high signal. So instead of giving direct high signals, we are altering the signals for purity, like for less distortion. If we give continuous high signal, there are chances of the distortions in signal. So to prevent that, we'll be using alternating low, then high, and then we'll wait for some extra time for the high signal, and then we'll go back to low. Okay, so this part is complete. That means we have given the output. The signal from the board to the sensor is gone, and the sensor has given out some frequencies. And now comes the second part where we shift this part as the input signal. The board takes the input from the board. So here, as you can see, we have declared it as input. Now the Arduino board will take input from these pins, this pin, the input, and then it is stored in the duration. So we'll, with the help of pulse in function, we'll be taking input from pin and it is stored in duration. So what exactly is duration? This sensor sends the time difference from the signal which was sent and the signal which came back after reflection. So we have the duration here, and now we have to convert it into distance. So we have created a function microseconds to centimeters, and we have passed the argument as the data that the sensor gave. So let's go to the function part. So here, as you can see, to convert microseconds, we are taking the time and then we are dividing it by 29. So this is because, as you can see, we have written the speed of sound takes around 29 microseconds per centimeter. So we are, by dividing that, we'll get the centimeter, and again we are dividing it by 2. That is because this is a two-way thing, right? So first the signal goes and then it comes back. So we are calculating the distance 2 times. We just need the single one. So we are dividing it again by 2. So we get the appropriate distance. Okay, so now we have got the distance, and then we'll this, as you can see here, is for serial monitor. So this is for the code here, it will print, and additionally we can also use any display chips for displaying it on the board. Okay, so here comes the condition for the blinking of light. We have converted the duration into distance, and now if the distance is less than 80 centimeter, the pin will give output as high. So as soon as it gives high, the LED will light up. Or else if it's greater than 80, then it will give low. So then the light won't blink. Alright, so now let's run the code. Okay. So here we have given it. Okay, here you can see this here is the distance. It's showing in inch and this is in centimeter. Right now it's 250 centimeter. You can observe this LED as I move this point. So okay, so we are now at 83.8. Still the LED is not blinking, but as soon as I take it less than 80, 78.5, the LED starts blinking. Right. Okay, so this is how it works. We can also alter the code, like if I take it as 120 and run it again. Okay, let's take it. Okay, 140, 130, this is not blinking. And as soon as this is 120.1, still it's not blinking. Okay, now it's lit up. Alright, so I hope you understood this circuit and its functioning. Alright, so let's proceed to the second circuit here. Okay, this circuit here, we are using the temperature sensor for calculating. We are taking the temperature and then accordingly we are blinking one of these LED lights. Okay, this you can ignore, this is just for checking the connection. Okay, and one more thing, that I said that we are using resistor for LEDs, right? So I'll show you why we are using LEDs. This resistors, you see, normally it doesn't blink like that because this symbol shows that the current through the LED is greater than the absolute maximum which it needs. Okay, so to reduce the current, we are using resistor. Alright, so this is simulation, so it doesn't matter, but if you are using real circuit, the LED gets damaged. Okay, so let's go through fast. This is the Arduino board and this is the temperature sensor. We'll go through the circuit. Here we are using pin 2, 3, 4. So pin 2 is for the first LED. The connection goes through this line and then to the pin. Through the LED we go to the cathode. This is all in serial, so we go back to the resistor and here. Okay, so there's a small difference here. We are using a 5 volt parallelly to the complete board. So as you can see, we have connected the 5 volt line to this line. So as I told in the earlier section, in the last two lines and the first two lines, this connections are serial in horizontal way, and rest all it's vertical way. So here we get 5 volt to here, and then it travels to this end, and we are connecting back to the this terminal, and the 5 volt supplies to the whole dots in this line, and the black one represents the ground. So in the first line we have connected ground, so here completely it's all ground, and we go up, and here also it's all ground. So why are we doing like this? This is because when we want to connect various devices in the same breadboard, like if I want to connect some more sensors here or any other LEDs here, so I don't need to individually connect it to 5 volt every to the Arduino again and again. I can directly connect it here. Okay, so now we have gone through the connection. We have the 5 volt running here and the ground running here. So we start from the second pin. We go to this point, and then connection completes by connecting the resistor to the ground. So now it's connected to the ground of the Arduino board, and same as pin 3, it's connected to the ground. Pin 4 also connected to the ground. And here I have not set any pin, so it will light up whole time. So it's connected 5 volt to the positive and then negative to the ground. Okay, so next section is the temperature section. We have 3 pins for temperature. First is the power and V out, voltage out, and the ground. So this is for the signal. So we give power from the 5 volt to this point, and the ground to the ground section of the circuit. And then we are connecting this temperature to point A0. Okay, so here the difference is we are not using digital points. We are using analog inputs. So why are we using analog inputs? Because in all these previous circuits, the LED was like just a 1 or 0, right? So, but here we have varied inputs. Like, okay, so it depends on the temperature, and accordingly it gives. It's on the form of analog format. So we connect it to the analog in.
Once, can you explain why are you using analog inputs?
Yeah, so this sensor uses can be connected to the, like, we are not getting any definite output. We are getting actually the temperature values. So for that we can't use digital pins. We can only connect it to analog pins.
Means if we are getting a definite output, then we can use digital pins.
Yeah, we can use digital pins for that.
Okay, means we are using normally just intercad one. We are connecting it to analog pins. That's all.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so we have connected here, and yeah, so circuit explanation is complete. Let's go to the code part. All right, we have a bit long code here. Okay, so we are declaring 3 variables. Baseline temperature. We are actually using 3 variables for checking the range. We have 3 inputs, right? The 3 outputs, right? So we are taking 2 conditions. If the temperature is less than value 1, it go to some other LED, and if it's in a range of value 1 and value 2, it shows a particular LED, and if it's greater than second value, it shows another LED. Okay, so we have the baseline temperature, Celsius and Fahrenheit values here, and for in the setup function we are using input for A0. This temperature sensor will give input to the analog input. So, and then we have taken the pin mode 2, 3, 4. So 2, 3 and 4 will be output. We'll be giving out signals so that the LED lights up. And here comes the loop section. So in loop section, first we have given the baseline temperatures 40 degrees Celsius. And okay, so here as you can see, we are not getting directly the temperatures in Celsius or Fahrenheit. So it's in a raw format with the range of 0 to 1023. So we have to convert it to in a particular format like Celsius or Fahrenheit. So what we do is that there is a formula for that. We take the analog signal, decrease 20 and multiply it by 3.04. This is a fixed formula for conversion to Celsius. And here we are using the map function. So what map function does is that we have the value here, right? So the input of the value range is 0 to 1023. So what map function does is that it changes the range of the value. Like if the temperature, this sensor is giving values between 0 and 1023. So with the help of map function, we are converting that range between -40 and 125. So now we have the values greater than -40 degrees Celsius and less than 125 degrees Celsius. All right. And now we have the Fahrenheit formula. You might be familiar with this formula of conversion of Celsius to Fahrenheit. Okay, so these statements are for printing in the serial monitor. Okay, so we have this condition here. As you can see, the first condition is less than baseline temperature. So what is baseline temperature? 40. So if the temperature is less than 40, we have all these pins low. That means none of these LEDs will light up. And the second condition is if the temperature is greater than 40 and it is less than baseline plus 10, that is 50. So if it comes between the range of 40 and 50, the first pin will glow. Number 2. So number 2, this one will glow. And then we have the third condition. If it is greater than 50 and less than 60, the first and the second LED will glow. And for the last condition, less than 70 and greater than 60, all three will glow. And for greater than those, until this range, all these LEDs will glow. Okay, so now let's run the code. Okay, we'll just note down these points and we'll check. All right, so the first point is greater than 40 and less than 50. And the second condition is 50 to 60. And the third condition is 60 to 70. Right, so now we'll run this code. Okay, the circuit is connecting. You can ignore this. Okay. Yeah, so are you able to see the temperature on that? Right, okay, it's 22:10. Okay, so the first condition is greater than 40. Right, so we'll take it to 40. Okay, it's 44 greater than 40, so the first LED has lit up. And the second condition is between 50 and 60, so we'll go to 57. Okay, so we have two of these LEDs lit up. And again, if we go more further, 63, we have all three LEDs like in the form. Okay, so this is just a kind of a prototype. You can develop these, add more LEDs, and we can show it like a level bar and mark it as a average level or the cool mark. Like if first two LEDs light, then it's a cool temperature, and we can build something like that and then show up to your friends or convert it into a proper out case and show it as your project. All right, so here is our third circuit. Okay, I'll disconnect this first. I'll explain it later. All right, so this is our main circuit. These instruments I'll come on later. I'll add these to the circuit and demonstrate what all these things are. Okay, so here this is pretty small one compared to the earlier one. This is our Arduino board, and we have a few complicated connections here. So as I said, for the water level sensor, actually what I trying to demonstrate was this sensor, but unfortunately it's not available on Tinkercad. So alright, so for that we'll be demonstrating with the help of a potentiometer. We'll be varying the output, we'll be varying the current, and accordingly this element will blink in various colors, may it be red, green and purple, and it will show accordingly, like in the given range. Okay, so first let's go into the connections. Here, as you can see, we have potentiometer 3 terminals. Terminal 2 is for connecting into the power source. We have 5-volt continuous connection, so there is no condition, it will be throughout the power is connected to this board. And the second one is the analog signal, the Viper. So we'll be giving in the analog signal to A0. And the third one is the terminal 2 for ground. One is power, ground, and the input. All right. So we are taking in the power, we are altering the power, and then giving it to the analog in. And according to the range, it will blink. So this is basically how the water level sensor works. So I just try to imitate it. Okay. So now coming to this thing. So this is actually a NeoPixel LED, basically a multicolor LED. So we have 3 connections in this one also. The first one is the connection to the pin. We'll be giving input from the board, that is pin number 2. And the second one is ground. We connect it to the ground on the board, and then the positive one goes to the 5-volt. So this NeoPixel needs additional power as well as the signal from the 2 pin. Okay. So this was the circuit. Let's go to the code. Okay, so this is something different. So for these modules, we are using hash include Adafruit neopixel.h. So this contains the several functions and structures which are needed for operating this NeoPixel. And here some, as you can see, instead of declaring variables, we have created hash defines. So these are pretty similar to these, but the difference is that this one gets created as the program starts, and hash define is used for creating variables. Like it's not like variables is directly assigned to this value, so it gets assigned before, like as soon as the header files gets loaded. So it's comparatively little faster when using these, but here it doesn't. Okay, so when complicated circuits, this may give some advantage. Okay, so we have declared pin as 2. So whenever we are using pin anywhere, it will replace it with the value 2, and similar for these. A0 is for the A0 analog input. NumPixels as pin 1. NumPixels, oh okay, NumPixels is not the pin. Okay, and the pin 2 as 4, that I'll be using for adding the other instruments that are here and then demonstrating them. Okay, so first where we are from the header file, you are using calling the function, and we are creating the variable object of that, and we have created these variables delay val for delay. Okay, red color, green color and blue color. We will be demonstrating 3 colors in this, and we have declared 2 variables also for transition and the sensor value. Okay, for coming to the setup function, we have set it as the pixels are begin for this thing, this NeoPixel, and the pin mode sensor input. So the sensor value, that is A0, is set as input. Okay, so here is the loop part that gets repeated in till we disconnect the power. Okay, so the first sensor value, we are taking analog read from the sensor point, that is A0. Sensor is A0. So we'll taking the analog, we'll taking the input in the sensor value, and we are transitioning the value again to a different range. All right, so as I can see, the raw value comes in the range of 0 to 1023. We need to change it to 0 to 255. Why 0 to 255? Because each color is depicted in the format of the numbers between 0 and 255. Okay, so accordingly, if it's red or green or blue, so each number has a each color has a three variable thing in which each of these variables have different numbers in the range of 0 and 255. All right, so here we are with the help of map function, we are converting it in the range of 0 to 255, and then uh, we are calling the function set pixel color for setting the color, and then with the help of show function we'll give it out. Okay, so here is the set color function. So here is all the conditions. So as you can see, the red color transition, we have the dry threshold and the crossfade. Okay, so here for red color, they are creating the taking the transition value and taking less than the dry threshold. They have the dry threshold here as has defined 50. We have declared the variables here, and we have also declared the threshold center as the value of dry threshold and wet threshold, the middle value. Okay, so dry threshold is 50, wet is 200. So we take the middle point as the threshold center and crossfade and as 20. Crossfade is used for the changing the color from red and blue to green for the fading. Okay, all right. So now, okay, I'll just shift it open. Okay, yeah. So we are using this map function for converting it the transition value uh, between 0 and the dry threshold plus crossfade between 255 and 0. Where this crossfade is for changing the color. So we keep on adding the number 20 accordingly, or to change the red color to move towards the other one, and then we convert it between the range of 0 and 255. Same as with the blue color, we check the condition for wet or dry, and then uh, accordingly we'll map and convert these values, change these values, and then convert it into range of 0 and 255. Okay, so now here comes these conditions for displaying. So we have the red and blue set, and the green color will determine the actual color of the output. So you see, the pretty basic color is combination of red, blue, and green. So if we set red and blue as constant and change the green value, we can see the color change accordingly. Okay, so now if the transition value, that value which I have taken, is greater than dry one, the dry threshold, and the middle value, we will map it uh, dry to threshold center and 0 and 250, and will print this value between dry and center and map it to 0 and 255. Or else the second condition is it's greater than the middle value and less than the wet condition, will again will map the transition of again to 255 and 0 in the reverse order. And then if it's greater than wet, it will be green color will be 0. Okay, so now let's see the simulation. Okay, so here you can see this is the green color and this is the potentiometer. We take it back to 0, less than dry, it's a blue color, and then as I increase, you can see the crossfade is adding on and the color gets changed from purple to light purple to blue, then greenish blue, and then green. And as I take it further, it's greater than the center value now, and again the color fades from green to orange and to red. Alright, so we have covered 3 conditions here. Okay, so now coming on to these things, This is a multimeter. We can also, and we have a lot of elements in Tinkercad. You guys can play with that or learn things. Like we have LEDs and transistors and different sensors like photodiodes, potentiometers that I've used here, and capacitors as well. Okay, and also you guys might be having the resistors, the transistors in PNP. You will have it in the second year, first semester, I guess, or maybe some of them would be having it right now as well. So we can practice with this and then understand the concepts behind those. Okay, so coming on to first, we'll go on to the vibration motor. This motor is used for, like, we connect it to circuit, and whenever we give high output, it will start vibrating. Oh, okay. So I have added a few more points here. As you can see, we have set pin 2 as 4. So we are using pin 2 as well. Pin 2 as 4. So the fourth pin, this I have selected. Now connect it to the positive edge, and then I connect the negative to the ground. Okay. Okay, I've connected it to the ground. And then what I'll do is that okay, so here I have added a few statements that I've commented. So this is a digital point, so we'll be giving low, high, and we can give two values for that. So the first condition I've given low, and when it comes to the center part, we give it high, and again for greater than that, we give it low. Alright, the connection is complete, and now we can start the simulation. Okay, so right now, as you can see, vibrator is not moving or vibrating, and now I give the value. Okay, I guess I have mismatched some of these connections. Alright, so we just disconnect this. We'll take the positive to pin 4 and negative to pin ground. Okay, and then we'll start the simulation. Okay, as you can see, in the middle condition, it's what is this? This actually multimeter is used for checking the voltage difference or the current through that or the resistance. So as you can see, as soon as I give the condition between the middle value, if I go to the less range, 0 volt, that means the pin number 4 is giving low output. And as I go to the middle part again, it will give 5 volt because I've set the value as high for in the middle condition. And again, if I increase more, it will go back to 0. And we can change it with ampere and resistance also. So you see 100 microampere it's giving out current, and again it's 0 ampere. Okay, so this is multimeter, and the second one is piezo. So it gives out some sound as a signal. So I'll connect this circuit, and you guys might be able to hear the sound. All right. Anyways, you guys can connect it. It's working, and I could hear the sound. So there is a voltage difference, and as soon as the condition is met here, it gives out some distorted signals, like that of a damaged speaker or something. So we can use this as an alarm condition for a certain level of water. Like the water reaches any particular level, we can give out some alarm noise or any alert sound. Okay, so this was the third circuit. The session has ended now. You guys can leave.